Okay, this is the H3 Plus. I have a dozen H3s and a few of the H8s and one H8 third generation. My other ones were second generation. The only area where you may want to be aware of the differences between the H3 and the H3 Plus, there are features that are not compatible. When you're reading online, you may get the impression that it has all the same features, but not necessarily compatible. For example, wireless coding. This will not work with an H3. You have to have another H3 Plus. So if you got half a dozen H3s, you won't be able to use this to clone. And there is some more differences. On the H3, you had two push-to-talks on the side. This is no longer a push-to-talk, but this gives you an option to select, alarm, flashlight, monitor, things of that sort, little routines. If you go to their site, you will find a statement like this: brand new TD-H3 Plus 5-watt Bluetooth radio handheld has the same functions as the TD-H3 radios. Wireless coding, to me, is the same functions, but apparently not. So keep that in mind. And another area where you can throw off people, and it says, talking about all H3 features retained. So one thing I could figure is that they were referring to all H3 features retained towards the third generation TD-H8. So, yeah. If you're quickly reading, you could end up with the wrong conclusion. So I thought I'd bring this up, so this way there'll be no surprises. There's some other features in here, like the SMS. You will need another H3 Plus to send an SMS text. And I think on a previous video I showed how you would enter that information. It's okay for maybe one or two messages there, but unless you're really quick with your fingers there, I don't know. If you have trouble texting on a phone, well, this will be even harder, so keep that in mind. Now, something you may want to keep in mind too, if you have an H3, or perhaps you want to save a few dollars and you want a bunch of radios like this, I mean, I have no issues with my H3. It works well. Well, the H3s, they're on sale. They're cheaper, so that might be something you may want. Unless there's a feature that you want on this, like SMS, what other feature would you want? Well, there are some differences, but I don't think it's something that would be a selling point. Let me illustrate. On things I haven't mentioned here yet. I mean, even navigating to the menu. Okay, you go to menu. It's kind of nice that they've broken up the menu into sections because there's so many settings. You got how many here? Yeah, that was, oops, I had to go back one more. So there's SMS is number 6. Okay. If you make a lot of changes while using the radio, you want to keep this in mind. When you go into a setting, let's say radio settings number 1, well, the first thing you see is squelch level. Now on the H3, it tells me immediately what my setting is. Here you have to enter again. And in this case, I believe there's about 9 settings. So you gotta scroll down to find out what settings is already set up. So you have extra steps just to get that information. It's not a critical thing, but when you're used to the H3 and then you get yourself one of these radios, H3 Plus, it might irritate you for a little bit until you get used to it. Now, unfortunately, the H3 Plus and the support for it is still in progress. What I mean by that, to do a firmware update on the H3, it was quite simple, straightforward. Again, I had videos on it. However, OD Master is currently not supporting it, or I should say, it's in the process of being fixed. So you can't really use the H3 Plus with OD Master for firmware update. It constantly gives you a failure. Now, I had an older version, and when I was talking to TD Radio, eventually, they provided me a link that I was able to download the 1.0.35 version, and plus how to use USB-C programming. Let me just access that. Okay. When you're doing a firmware program, there's 2 methods, or 2. When you, how would I say it? Assuming OD Master works, and you're trying to program it, the firmware, you would hold the push to talk, and you would hold the 1 button down and turn it on. And you notice those 2 lights are on? Now it's ready for a firmware update. However, it doesn't work on OD Master at this time. So the workaround, let me turn it off. I will hold the push to talk and hold down the number 3 button and turn on. And you get this menu. And then the screen goes blank when you let go of it. And you use the USB-C, plug it in, plug into your PC, and if your computer recognizes the drivers, then you can do a firmware update. I managed to do this on my MacBook Pro, so that's nice. Okay, let's put this back on. When it comes to physical differences, it's pretty well identical. Slight changes. This button's a little bit bigger. Power output, basically the same. So, physically, it's very difficult to tell the difference unless you take note of small things like this. It comes with a sticker, H3 Plus. This one, the H3, I have a dozen of these. They're great. I had no issues. I just kicked them around. Now, for serious stuff, being a ham radio operator at home, whatever, or I'm in an environment where it's reasonably safe without having an accident of some sort, yeah, I'll use my ICOM radios, like the ID52 Plus. Love it. I can use it for terminal mode, D-Star, stuff like that. Same with the 705 and the 73. 100, I use that for HF. The reason I'm doing this video, I just don't want someone to buy something and then find out, oh, I can't do this or do that. So be informed, and then you can decide whether the new ones will be more suitable for you or take advantage of the H3 prices. As one thing to keep in mind right now, OD Master does not, or is not able to do a firmware update on the Plus. No problems with the H3, but it's a little bit different approach. You would have to go to the list where the models are and select the H3 Plus. And when you do that selection, you'll see an extra button show up, where you have update, it'll say firmware. So that's how you get into the firmware section. Unfortunately, right now it's not working. I'm not sure when it'll be fixed. And if you have an old firmware and you're anxious to update it, let's say you bought one a month or two ago, you may want to talk to TID Radio. They can give you a temporary link to get that firmware and the app to install it. So now there is a feature here that you might like, the Bluetooth capabilities. I didn't have a need for using really Bluetooth on this other than programming. Chirp or Google Chrome, I believe, supports Bluetooth with OD Master. And they have expanded it in that you can connect, like in my case, it connects to my MacBook. And if I'm playing music on my MacBook Pro, it will play on the radio. Yeah, it might be very handy in a mobile environment where you have to be careful of distracted driving laws. You can use a remote mic, push to talk, and do all this with the radio sitting somewhere else. So, nice little feature. It can be handy. I have a regular mobile ICOM 2730, the black edition, so don't really need it. And I use that mostly for crossband use when I need to have an extended coverage with a nice high gain antenna on top of my truck there. Thought I'd mention that. I've did a test on it, power output. In fact, one of the videos may have a short clip of that, VHF, UHF. There is a new feature in here. Kind of nice idea, the themes or whatever you want to call it. But unfortunately, it's not what I'm looking for. I mentioned this before. My call sign and channel is displayed. And the other option, I have my frequency and channel displayed. Now, when you transmit, there you go, it's transmitting. And you can also change the color. In my case, it's red. You can use yellow, blue, green. There's a whole bunch of different colors. So you can change the color on this. Again, I have to hit the A and B button if I want to transmit on the other button. Okay. And the menu for that, I could go to radio settings. And forgot the number now. Do watch. Get backlight display, I believe it is. Let me hit that. Yep, there you go. It's called Classic. Normally, I prefer dual, but it's the same thing. It only gives me frequency and channel, or channel and frequency. It doesn't give me the option of name and frequency. I'm hoping if there's enough feedback that instead of having 3 options, I'll add a 4th one. Or, to me, having channeled as an option, I think it's a mistake. Because channel is visible normally anyways. So, yeah, thought I'd throw that in. Just be aware of it. So, kind of using a classic, because at least when I transmit and I have a name showing or my call sign, at least I know what the frequency is when I transmit. So that's handy. Okay. 42 in radio setting. That's where you can change the color. And then you can scroll through. Oops, I think I missed the buttons every time. As you can see, there's lots of different colors. I prefer the red. And that's it. So, the background and behind the white text is red. So, if you're colorblind, you may want to choose a different color. Anyways, so I thought I'd mention that. If you want to know what version, you go to menu number 3 called Radio Information. Enter Radio Info, and then you have to scroll. Firmware 1.035. Hardware version 1.01. That's it. And work mode, normal mode. If it was GMRS, it would have said GMRS or HEM. I believe normal mode is same as unlocked. However, when you do order a radio, be sure you select the proper band. If you are looking for a GMRS radio, order it as a GMRS. Otherwise, your antenna won't be as efficient. And I'm sure the finals probably will not be optimized for maximum, whatever the legal power is. Okay. Scan mode is a little bit different. You have 3 options. This TO is timer. So you're scanning, it comes across an active frequency or channel. It will pause for 5 seconds and resume. And I think CO is for carrier. So if it comes across a carrier signal, it will stop. Not sure if it will stay or it resumes. I believe it resumes. The SE, that one will do a search. And once it finds an active channel, I believe it stops scanning. So, yeah, so the CO will resume again when the signal disappears. So there's no timer on it. Oops. I was just verifying that with my phone there. Sorry about that. As for the OD Master, I looked with it, played with it. Not much in the way of functions yet. I believe it's still in the works. They're working on it. So keep that in mind. Anyways, I hope this quick review helped. Again, do appreciate your support. Have a nice day. If you haven't done so, it would be appreciated. Please subscribe. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day.